Whatever did or did not happen at the opening show of the Olympics, whatever was intended or not intended by its designers, there's still one thing that we know for certain. We all need Jesus Christ. More than that, all human beings hunger for him, though we often fail to realize that. Complicating things still further, we often try to satisfy this hunger with a substitute version of who Jesus is. If indeed we did witness blasphemy on a global scale on Friday, this lens of mistaken identity is perhaps the best way to view it. And after all, we see a similar dynamic in the gospel. At first, the people come to Jesus because they want to be healed of their illnesses, to be freed. They see him as a healer. But notice the way today's gospel describes this. They saw the signs he was performing on the sick, not miracles or healings, but signs. Jesus really did do miracles, really did heal people, but they are pointing to something more, to a deeper reality, a sign. This is important because of what we'll read about over the next 4 Sundays. The Bread of Life discourse, John chapter 6, where Jesus speaks of his body and blood as food and drink. And these people come to him today because they are hungry for miracles. But what they receive are signs. And beneath this curiosity and this desire for healing, Jesus sees their natural hunger for food. So he goes ahead and feeds their body with fish and bread. Jesus acknowledges our desires, curiosity, desire for health, hunger for food and drink, to be loved, to be seen, to be accepted. And he provides for us, but he always invites us to something more. It's why he gives this rather cryptic question to his apostles. It's a test. Where can we buy enough food for them to eat? He knows they don't have money for that, nor do they have anywhere to buy it. It's not like there are food trucks running around Galilee. Jesus is trying to point out the fact that we cannot satisfy the desires on our own. No matter how much we will eat, we will be hungry again. We can make ourselves comfortable for a time, but eventually any chair and any bed won't be enough. You're going to have to move again. And this design is on purpose. Jesus isn't just calling attention to the limitation of that moment, but to all limitations. The apostles don't get it. They almost laugh to themselves, you can imagine, as they suggest, well, here's 5 loaves and 2 fish. And then Jesus springs his trap. You're still thinking like human beings. Let me show you what God has in store. 5,000 people fed, and the leftovers are nearly 12 times what they started with. Those numbers are intentional, of course. Another nudge that this is a sign of something more. Jesus' way of saying, I can more than satisfy your desires. They don't get it. All they know is that they wanted healing and they got it. They wanted food and they got it. Now they want a king. So why shouldn't Jesus satisfy that desire too? Not this time. That's one desire they aren't ready for, despite what they think they want. So Jesus flees them. Do you think that's it? That the signs end there? Of course not. Even Jesus' absence is intentional. He knows they're going to follow him. He knows they will be hungry again, that they are already hungry in ways they do not yet recognize. He's setting them up to learn something about their own desire. And when they come to him again with their hunger, some of them at least will be ready to receive the thing that truly satisfies. But reflect again on how they get to this point. Jesus could not just jump to the end. Well, he could. He could just jump to the end, reveal his divinity, give us the Eucharist, and ascend into heaven and forgive our sins in all of his glory. But he doesn't. He lets these people, he lets us feel the hunger. He waits until we come to him with that hunger. And even as he tells us no, he prepares us for an even greater yes. Are you hungry? I'm sure some of you are looking forward to dinner after Mass, but that's not the hunger I'm talking about. Are you hungry for meaning, for acceptance, for purpose, for love? Do you hunger for excellence and success, to have some mission in life? How many of you feel let down, beaten down by life? Perhaps abandoned by God? How often do we finally get the thing we want, only to find it doesn't last? Why, God, do I have this desire for that woman, for that man, if I cannot have them? Why do you put this desire in me to make beautiful things, but then give me hands incapable of making them? Why, Lord, do you call me to holiness, but so often let me fall? Why did you make this world so unsatisfying? So that we would never rest in the wrong thing. Original sin made this much, much harder. But even Adam and Eve would not have been perfectly happy with just the garden. It was God in the garden that satisfied. And yet it was God who gave us the garden. It is Jesus who multiplies loaves to feed a physical hunger. It is God who gives us the world, fallen, but still beautiful and full of good, desirable things. It is part of his design that we desire and pursue and enjoy the good things of this world. It's not that pattern that's the problem. The problem is we forget why he made the world this way. That this exercise of desire and pursuit prepares us to rise higher and higher to seek God and find him. Only we get stuck on the lesson, the sign. It's like finding a sign on the road that says, "Free crawfish this way." And you stop there and take selfies and celebrate, but you never go that way. Those who mock God do so usually because they see him as the one who denies their desire. Those who turn away from God do so because they cannot see that the good things of this world aren't actually the fulfillment they're looking for. So even as we rightly call out the sins and errors of the world, settling for the wrong desires, we must have compassion on those who only can see Jesus as someone trying to deprive them of love. That they see Jesus wrongly, like the crowd who see a worldly king and an infinite source of bread. And what of ourselves? We should see the signs and follow them all the way to Jesus. Whatever you desire, bring it to Jesus. Like the crowd who were hungry but didn't realize it because they were focused on getting healed, go to Jesus. Bring him your every desire. I mean, all of your desires. Even the one you've never admitted to yourself. Bring him your every desire. Sometimes he will give you what you want. Multiply the loaves. Sometimes, however, often actually, he will satisfy your desires only partially or not at all. And instead, he will speak to the desire hidden beneath the surface, to the original desire that has been twisted into something wrong. It might mean we go hungry for a little while, bear our illness a little longer, endure the dissatisfaction of this world until the deepest hunger can rise to the surface long enough to recognize that what Christ offers is the only thing that satisfies forever: himself.